You're at the auto parts store, facing rows of oil additive bottles. Each makes bold claims, cuts wear by 90%, adds 50 horsepower, doubles engine life. These promises are everywhere. Here's what my testing shows. After evaluating dozens of these products over 10 years, most deliver zero results. Worse, some cause real damage to your engine. The industry doesn't advertise this fact. Only 3 products actually work. These 3 have solid science, verified testing, and solve real problems. Today, I'll show you how to avoid wasting hundreds of dollars and prevent potential engine damage. We'll cover 7 additives to avoid completely and 3 that deliver genuine value. Let's examine the facts. The snake oil problem. Before we dive into specific products, you need to understand something critical. Modern engine oil is already a masterpiece of chemical engineering. Think about this. A single quart of quality synthetic oil contains between 15 and 25 different additives. We're talking zinc dialkyldithiaphosphate for anti-wear protection, polymethacrylates for viscosity control, calcium sulfonates for detergency. Your oil is already a precisely balanced chemical cocktail. Now, when you pour in a random bottle of miracle additive, you're disrupting that balance. It's like adding salt to a dish that a master chef has already perfected. Sometimes it might help. Usually, it makes things worse. The oil additive market is worth over $7 billion globally. That's billion with a B. And the profit margins? Astronomical. We're talking about products that cost pennies to manufacture being sold for $20, $30, sometimes $50 a bottle. Here's the kicker. Most major oil manufacturers specifically warn against using aftermarket additives. Check your owner's manual. It's probably right there in black and white. Using these products can even void your warranty. So why do people keep buying them? Because hope is a powerful marketing tool. We all want to believe there's a magic bullet that'll make our engines run forever. But let's separate fact from fiction. To avoid oil thickeners. The first product you need to avoid, oil thickeners. These go by names like heavy-duty oil treatment or high-mileage booster. The marketing pitch is seductive. Stop oil burning, reduce consumption, quiet noisy lifters. Here's how they work. They're basically heavy polymers that thicken your oil. Think of it like adding honey to water. Yes, it gets thicker, but that's not necessarily a good thing. Your engine was designed to run on oil with a specific viscosity. That's why we have ratings like 5W30 or 0W20. When you artificially thicken that oil, several bad things happen. First, the oil pump has to work harder. It's now trying to push molasses instead of oil through those tiny passages. This increases strain on the pump and reduces oil flow to critical components. Second, thicker oil doesn't flow as well when cold. This is when most engine wear occurs, during cold starts. By making your oil thicker, you're actually increasing wear during the most critical time. Third, and this is the big one, modern engines with variable valve timing systems are incredibly sensitive to oil viscosity. These systems use oil pressure to adjust valve timing on the fly. Use oil that's too thick and you can throw check engine lights, reduce performance, and even damage the VVT system. I've seen this personally. A customer came in with a Toyota Camry throwing VVT codes. Turned out he'd been using an oil thickener for 6 months. We drained it, refilled with proper oil, and the codes disappeared. If your engine is burning oil, the solution isn't to make the oil thicker. The solution is to find and fix the actual problem. Band-Aids don't cure diseases. To avoid Teflon and ceramic. Next up, products containing Teflon or ceramic particles. The marketing here is brilliant. Coat your engine parts with Teflon, the same stuff used in space shuttles. Or ceramic nanoparticles fill in the microscopic imperfections in your cylinder walls. It sounds scientific. It sounds advanced. It's also nonsense. Let's start with Teflon. Yes, Teflon is slippery. Yes, it's used in some high-tech applications. But here's what they don't tell you. Teflon particles don't stay suspended in oil. They settle out. They accumulate and they clog. Your engine has incredibly fine oil passages. We're talking passages measured in millimeters. Your oil filter has pores measured in microns. When you introduce solid particles, even nanoparticles, into this system, they don't magically coat everything evenly. They clog filters, they accumulate in galleries, and they can cause oil starvation. There's a reason major oil manufacturers don't use suspended solids in their formulations. It's not because they haven't thought of it, it's because it doesn't work in real-world conditions. The ceramic additive story is similar. The claim is that ceramic particles will embed themselves in cylinder wall imperfections and reduce wear. But here's the problem. Your cylinder walls already have a specific surface finish. It's called a crosshatch pattern, and it's designed to retain oil. When you smooth it out with ceramic particles, you can actually reduce oil retention and increase wear. Plus, think about this logically. Your oil filter is designed designed to remove particles from your oil. That's its job. So you're intentionally adding particles that your engine will then spend energy trying to remove. Does that make sense? The Federal Trade Commission actually took action against one major Teflon additive manufacturer back in the 1990s for making unsubstantiated claims. The science just isn't there. To avoid engine flush and octane boosters. Moving on to number 4, engine flush products. Now, this might be controversial because some people swear by these, but hear me out. Engine flush is a solvent-based product you add to your oil before an oil change. You run the engine for 5 to 10 minutes and it supposedly dissolves sludge and deposits. Then you drain it all out with your old oil. The problem? That sludge and those deposits are there for a reason. In older, high-mileage engines, they might actually be sealing small leaks. Remove them suddenly, and you can spring leaks that weren't there before. More importantly, these flushes are harsh solvents. They don't just remove sludge, they can also strip away protective coatings and stress seals and gaskets. I've seen engines that ran fine for years develop oil leaks within weeks of using an engine flush. If your engine has sludge buildup, the solution isn't a nuclear option flush. It's regular oil changes with quality oil. Modern detergent oils will gradually and safely clean your engine over time. Now, number 5, octane boosters. Technically, these aren't oil additives, but they're in the same aisle and deserve mention. The promise is simple. Pour in this bottle and your regular 87 octane fuel becomes premium 93 octane. Save money. Increase performance. Except the math doesn't work. Most octane boosters, when you read the fine print, increase octane by maybe 1 to 2 points. Not 1 to 2 octane numbers. Points. A tenth of an octane number. So your 87 might become 87.2. To actually raise 87 octane to 93 octane, you'd need to add an entire bottle of booster to maybe a gallon of gas. At that point, you're spending more money than if you just bought premium fuel in the first place. Plus, if your engine doesn't require premium fuel, running premium does nothing. Modern engines have NOx sensors that adjust timing automatically. Your 87 octane engine doesn't run better on 93 octane. It just costs you more money. If your engine knocks on regular fuel, use premium like your manufacturer recommends. Don't try to band-aid it with additives. To avoid fuel system cleaners and compression restorers. Additive number 6, most fuel system cleaners. Now, I said most because there are exceptions, which we'll get to. But the majority of products on the shelf claiming to clean your fuel system are unnecessary. Here's why. Top-tier gasoline already contains high-quality detergents. If you're buying gas from reputable stations that sell top-tier fuel, which includes Shell, Chevron, BP, Mobil, and many others, your fuel system is already being cleaned with every tank. Adding an aftermarket cleaner on top of this, it's redundant. You're paying for something you're already getting. The exception is if you have a specific problem. Maybe you bought bad gas, or your injectors are genuinely clogged. In those cases, a quality fuel system cleaner used once can help, but as a regular additive, you're wasting money. And finally, number 7, compression restorers. These products claim to restore lost compression in worn engines. The marketing is targeted at high-mileage vehicles. Add 10 to 20 psi of compression. Restore your engine's power. The active ingredient in most of these? Sodium silicate. You might know it better as liquid glass. The theory is that sodium silicate will fill in scratches and imperfections in your cylinder walls, temporarily increasing compression, and it might work for about 500 miles. Then it breaks down, creates deposits, and you're back where you started, or worse. These products are a temporary band-aid at best, and at worst, they create new problems. I've seen engines with compression restorer residue clog up catalytic converters and oxygen sensors. If your engine has low compression, there's a mechanical problem that needs mechanical repair. Maybe it's worn piston rings, maybe it's a blown head gasket, maybe it's scored cylinder walls. A bottle of snake oil isn't going to fix that. The 3 that actually work. Alright, enough negativity. Let's talk about the 3 additives that actually work, backed by real science and real results. Quality fuel injection cleaners with specific chemistry. Notice I said quality and specific chemistry. Not all fuel cleaners are created equal. The products that actually work contain polyethyramine or PEA. This is the same chemistry used in top-tier detergents, but at higher concentrations. Brands like Chevron Techron, BG44K, and Liqui-Moly-Jectron contain PEA at effective levels. These products genuinely clean deposits from fuel injectors and intake valves. When should you use them? If you have a direct injection engine that's prone to carbon buildup, if you've been using low-quality gas for an extended period, or if you're troubleshooting rough idle or poor performance that might be injector-related. I recommend using a quality quality PEA-based cleaner every 15,000 miles or so. Not every tank, that's overkill. But once or twice a year for preventive maintenance, that actually makes sense. ZDDP supplements for specific engines. ZDDP stands for zinc dialkyl dithiophosphate. It's an anti-wear additive that used to be in all motor oils at high concentrations. Then, starting in the mid-2000s, ZDDP levels were reduced because they damaged catalytic converters. Modern oils have less ZDDP to protect emissions equipment. But here's the problem. If you have an older engine with a flat tappet camshaft, think classic cars, muscle cars, anything pre-1990s, those cams need ZDDP to survive. Without adequate ZDDP, flat tappet cams wear rapidly. We're talking catastrophic wear in the first few hundred miles of break-in. The solution? ZDDP supplements like comp cams, break-in additive, or AmSoil Z-Rod. These boost ZDDP levels back to where older engines need them. But, and this is critical, only use these if you have an older engine that actually needs them. Modern engines with roller cams don't need ZDDP supplements. You're just wasting money and potentially harming your catalytic converter. Diesel fuel anti-gel for cold climates. If you drive a diesel vehicle in cold climates, this one's essential. Diesel fuel contains paraffin wax. When temperatures drop below a certain point, usually around 10 to 15 degrees Fahrenheit, that wax crystallizes and clogs your fuel filter. This is called gelling, and it will leave you stranded. Diesel fuel anti-gel additives lower the cold filter plugging point of your fuel. They prevent wax crystals from forming and keep your fuel flowing at sub-zero temperatures. Products like Power Service Diesel, Fuel Supplement, or Hot Shot's Secret Diesel Winter Anti-Gel actually work. The chemistry is sound, and they solve a real specific problem. If you're driving diesel in winter, especially in northern states or Canada, anti-gel isn't optional. It's essential. The key with all three of these additives is that they solve specific, real problems. They're not magic potions. They're targeted solutions for targeted issues. So there you have it. 7 additives to avoid, and 3 that actually work. The bottom line, your best additive is regular maintenance with quality products. Use the oil your manufacturer recommends. Change it at the recommended intervals. Use top-tier gasoline. Keep your air filter clean. These basics will do more for your engine than any bottle of snake oil ever could. Modern engines are incredibly well engineered. The oil companies have spent billions developing lubricants that do exactly what your engine needs. Trust the science, trust the engineering, and if you're facing a specific problem, carbon buildup on direct injection, flat tappet cam break-in, or diesel gelling, then yes, use the right additive for that specific job. But don't fall for the marketing hype. Don't waste your money on false promises, and definitely don't damage your engine trying to fix problems that don't exist. Your wallet and your engine will thank you. If this video saved you from making an expensive mistake, hit that like button, subscribe for more no-nonsense automotive advice, and drop a comment telling me about your experiences with oil additives, good or bad. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.